Do it.
Welcome to the Railroad Park Podcast. I'm your host, same person who's always the host, here with Grace, and today we're with HAUS, or is it HAUS?
Oh my god.
No, you got it right.
So what's up, guys? You want to sort of introduce yourselves, or I don't really do introductions.
Yeah, not particularly us, honestly.
Well, this is Hank and
know.
Austin.
Yeah.
Austin, introduce yourself.
My name is Austin.
Tell your whole life story in one sentence.
I feel like
cameras, music.
I feel like Hank's nervous
more
all
cameras.
of a sudden.
Yeah, now that
His
I know
demeanor
shit's
just
recorded,
changed completely.
Hey, he's like, oh shit, this is
I
recording.
thought all I had to
now.
do was drink the beer.
No, dude.
No,
you're driving the
you're on the
conversation
spot, man.
today. You're the guy, right?
It's just tough. I feel like when it comes to an introduction, it's just like, I don't know.
They're always terribly awkward. We haven't done them at all. I mean, I keep the podcast pretty raw, so like you've heard the Rich Ferry one. It was just like us getting the mics sorted and everything. But
I love
I don't
that
know.
one.
Yeah, I like
good.
real stuff. You know,
It's a great way to kick it off. It was your first one, right?
It was
Yeah.
our first one. Yeah, Rich was a fantastic guest, and he was actually one of the last of about 6 podcasts. But I quickly realized that like anything, it takes a while to get good at. And so I did a bunch, and they were kind of
We did
poor.
some very silly ones with
Yeah.
my dad and Dave Alves, and it was very
Her dad came
silly.
from England, and War Games bass player Andrew Coletta, who moved to Kansas City a few years ago, he was here. And we just were like, oh, let's do a podcast. And then I think we just talked about poop like the whole time.
Wow.
And I was
wish
like,
I was a part of
oh,
that one,
man.
honestly.
Same.
So what is HAUS? What is HAUS?
So HAUS is a Rhode Island-based content creation studio specializing in photo, video, creative strategy, marketing of all different kinds. Wherever we can fit into the project is kind of like, however you want to bring us in. But
Yeah. So what is like your day-to-day look like? I mean, what kind of projects like populate your queue?
I would say that the landscape was a lot different before COVID. So maybe we could talk pre-COVID and then now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's ever changing. It's like pre-COVID, I think it was a healthy balance of a lot of corporate, testimonials, just kind of like flying out somewhere, traveling somewhere to speak with an exec or a customer of another company and just kind of get their story, get their take. Maybe they're talking about their own company. Maybe they're talking about somebody else's.
Yeah.
And then, on the other side of things, it was like a lot of local community-driven projects, music videos, event recaps, food pop-ups, culinary. So definitely a healthy dose of everything, and we just kind of try and, give it our best energy and kind of approach everything in the sense that, like, you really need to have eye-catching content. You really need to move people within 3 to 4 seconds. So however we can do that with whatever you want us to, to show up and shoot at, whatever, like we'll try and make that happen, I guess.
Yep.
If there's purpose, if there's real meaning behind it.
Well, here's the thing.
yeah.
I feel like what we were doing before COVID is completely different now. Like, even what we do when we get up in the morning, Austin and I are not, like, avid gym goers by any means, but I'd say that we've definitely made, like, a lifestyle change in terms of what we do when we get up first thing in the morning.
True,
And that
true.
would be
That's
we go to the
huge.
gym literally every day before our day even starts. So
That's great.
And that's been
That is
super
great.
beneficial.
That was one of my questions, was going to be like, has COVID brought any changes, and have any of those changes been positive changes? Because it's really easy to focus on the negative changes. I mean, we can't eat out, we can't live life the way we used to, and a lot of businesses are suffering pretty bad, but there's also a lot of businesses capitalizing on the situation. Do you guys feel like COVID has brought any positive changes aside from actually just changing your lifestyle and making it more healthy?
Yeah, definitely, like, with the lifestyle change, but you know this, but for those that don't, right before COVID hit, Austin and I acquired a studio space to, like, work out of
Bad
fully
timing?
Yeah, great timing, honestly.
Interesting timing.
Yeah.
But potentially great timing once the dust settles.
Yeah, we've definitely put it on pause. There's not a ton of stuff in there, but there is a production space off of the office that warrants itself to a lot of potential opportunities. Whether we rent it or just, shoot a lot of content there. And we haven't really figured out 100% what that is yet, but there's hope. So
Nice. How long have you guys been in the space, roughly?
since March.
Wow. So that was
the lease started in March.
Yeah, that was when stuff started to get really crazy.
It was like the lease was signed, and then
a week later,
and then there was like a stay-at-home order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
In that transitional period of where people are
No.
like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Is it really going to do this? Yes,
Jeez.
it's happening. Boom.
Yeah. Did your landlord reach out to you regarding
No,
it?
barely.
Why would he?
Do you blame him?
No, of course, of course. Hey, by the way, I know this stuff's going on, so let's get a couple months free rent or something. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But before that, the space was just like I don't even know if really anyone owned it, but they were using it as like a bi-weekly gallery art space. So,
So is it in Providence? Is it in Pawtucket?
it's in Pawtucket, actually, like right by like McCoy Stadium.
Cool.
So.
Cool. So anybody who doesn't know, we all kind of met working for a sort of startup in Pawtucket called Level Exchange. These guys were doing the video, and Railroad Park was in charge of the audio, and that's kind of where our relationship blossomed, I guess.
Oh, we're the best of friends now, So
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
it was a very interesting situation that I don't know if we're going to talk about, but
Interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised
is
you
a
even went
word.
there, Kyle.
I mean, listen, this is kind of a tell-all
Speak of
raw sort of thing. I mean, I don't know how comfortable you guys are to talk about it, but I mean,
we don't care anymore.
What?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
It's been
honestly,
long enough. Yeah.
It was an experience that brought us all together. It
Yes.
taught us. It kind of ushered us into the learning curve, at least me and Henry, of live live session video production when it comes to music. So
Absolutely.
and I think you too a little bit, right?
Oh,
we kind of
dude.
learned how to
Absolutely.
the synergy that needs to be there between the video producers and then the audio engineers, and also the coordinators and the people who put everything together, and then the bands. It's
Absolutely.
really a team effort. So
Yeah, and when you're working with bands, sometimes I feel like you guys and me were like on the same team. When bands had crazy requests or we're having a hard time figuring out like how this stuff had to roll. What are you guys all laughing at?
No, I was just getting ready to queue up for like the
He said-
age-old,
No, he said it was a team effort, and I was like, "Don't you dare say it! Don't say
Oh,
it."
guys, don't you know? Oh, don't you know?
teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, shit, he went there. Shots fired. Shots fired. No, like Austin, I think I took a lot of really positive stuff from Level Exchange, and the young lady who runs it, I've got nothing but good things to say about her. I mean, she at heart is a good person. I think she was trying to do something really cool and really good for the community, and it didn't work out. A lot of things don't work out, especially when it's music-based business and stuff like that. It can be a very nuanced sort of place to try to squeeze money out of, and I think overall extremely positive experience. If all I got out of that was meeting you guys and meeting Jenna and Larry and even meeting Lindsay and just being involved with it. Some days were better than others, but I think the overall takeaway is that it was extremely positive, and I'm really happy that it happened.
Yeah, likewise, dude. I feel like that is definitely the best takeaway in hindsight,
Definitely.
for sure.
Cool.
Look at us right now.
Yeah, man, we're all boys, and Grace, she's here.
I'm a boy too.
But no, I mean, I know like some of those shoots, and we were talking about this the other day. Like, we kind of didn't even know if we were on the same team. You know what I mean? We're like, we were on the same team as far as production went, because we all had boxes that we needed to tick. We had a small amount of time to bring that to fruition. But it was also funny too, because at first we were all kind of a little reserved. I was like, I don't know about that Hank and Austin guy. They spying or who
I don't know
who
about
they working
Frank.
for?
Who's this guy
Who
that
they
keeps
working
ripping
for?
the jewel?
Yeah.
Dude, so that brings me to a question that I actually wanted to ask you guys. I wanted
the
to
fact that we met you influence our jewel habits?
Well, I know it did.
The answer is yes.
And I know after a few beers, you guys are like, yo, let me hit that jewel. Let me
mean,
get that
yeah.
jewel.
I mean, yeah.
It turns into the old days of just.
Oh, God.
But you know what? Live production is so stressful. I never vaped more than I did in that place, and I never asked anybody if like it was kosher for me to vape in the productions,
Dude.
and no one ever told me it wasn't.
I think you kind of opened up the avenue, though.
The jewel
All
smoke
right, we can just,
is
you
the
can just hit this
equivalent
thing
of
here.
like Rich Ferry's like cinematic spray when he's softening the highlights.
Well, before
that's
I-
how we got the colors at level.
It's so true. I actually before I
it's the jewel smoke.
real talk, before I moved to the Jewel, I had like a really lame box mod like
Oh,
vape
God.
that would create like tons of smoke, and
It was
Rich
gold.
loved it. Like we'd be out getting shots, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, blow some vape smoke on that," and I'm like, "Okay," but Rich is the type of person where like me and him would go to something completely unrelated to video, and then like on the drive home from Boston or something, he would see some neon lights in a rest stop, and then we would stop, and before you know it, I'm vaping on some guy's store while he's like, on the
Shooting
ground
like a-
shooting stuff, and
Yeah, it's sick.
Hey man, that
I
guy's
love
like a
Rich's
creative.
work.
Yeah, he's a creative wizard.
If there's one thing I
Yeah.
can say about Rich, and I don't know if this is true for you guys, but like I really admire the fact that like he just looks at the world differently. Like, where I'm not even paying attention, like I'm just going about my life, doing my thing, wherever it is, what we're doing. Like he looks at objects and looks at just mundane stuff as like art. And he'll see a photo from something that's nothing, it'd be like a street light and a car. And he's looking at it like, oh yeah, I got to get my camera out. I got to get my Fuji out and like take photos of this and whatnot. Do you guys feel like that sometimes too? I mean,
Absolutely. And I
kinda-
feel like we've
I
been
think
told
it's-
that stuff before. An old friend of mine once saw me like taking videos of like a fish market when we were traveling together, and he basically put it just like that. He's like, I never would have thought like something that is so mundane or normal to me, you see visual interest in. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So there's
Totally.
definitely always I feel like everywhere we go, we always look at things from the approach of how can we tell this creatively, from a storytelling approach. Yeah, for sure.
It's probably a sort of mindset that you have to be a successful cinematographer or DP or anything like that.
Yep.
I am totally not like that. Like I struggle to take photos with my iPhone,
Yeah, but you probably think about it in another way too, whereas we might be out thinking like, if we have a project on our mind, we're like, oh, I need a backdrop for this music video. It needs to be gritty. It needs to be this or that. I'm looking around like my neighborhood or whatever, Pawtucket or whatever, looking. But it's like the same with you. If you're like producing something, you're like, oh, I want this to sound trashy or whatever. Like grab a trash can or some piece of metal or
I've
something.
done that before.
Right? And you give it like you
Did
just
Dave
look
Alves
for
ever tell you about the
sounds. and-
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, so Dave Alves, his first studio session here, we've recorded this acoustic song, and he wanted some light percussion. So he went in the drum room, and he was like, I'm going to play the drums with my hands. And I was like, that's a great idea. And so he's hitting the kick drum, and he's hitting all the drums with his hands. He's hitting the cymbals with his hands, and it has like no attack because it's just like human fingers, like, slapping against drums and whatnot.
Yep.
But the kick drum had too much attack, and we both agreed, listening back, we're like, man, that kick drum just has too much attack. And I was like,
I know
I
what
don't
you
have
did.
any beaters that are like softer than the ones I do have here, because I'm doing rock bands, so I'm usually looking for more attack. And so, yep, exactly. I was like, yo, Dave, hold up. I'm gonna run. I ran inside, I grabbed a roll of toilet paper, stuffed it on the beater, and it was perfect. It was, and he was just like, yo, I'm doing the rest of my record here. Like, let's go. I was like, yeah.
The toilet paper.
That was one of your
falls
first
down.
sessions with Dave?
That was my first session with Dave Alves.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Totally won him over with a roll of toilet paper.
Well, dude, that's creative intuition at the end of the day. So you looked at
Exactly.
something, that someone might not look at the same way.
Absolutely.
And that impressed somebody.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Exactly. And I really want to take it a step further. I want to do like my own sample pack, sell it on Splice, and I'm gonna have the TP kick. You know what I mean?
You gotta make
No shit.
You gotta
Yeah.
make a film sound effects kit too, man.
TP
Dude,
kick.
I
Like
would
literally
love
don't call
to.
it toilet paper, call it the TP
The
kick.
TP kick. If you know, you know.
Yeah, and some guy 5 years down the line is gonna make a pop hit and he's gonna be like, it was that fucking TP
The
kick.
TP kick just inspired me, man. It wasn't actually the TP kick. It was the 2-ply TP kick. Like that was
The
just
TP.
really
It's the
set me
Syrian
off.
production.
Charmin
So-
TP kick.
Going back to us meeting at Level Exchange and stuff, I'm kind of interested to. I guess we kind of touched on it a little bit, but like I'm kind of interested to hear like what your first impressions of me were, or what your first impressions of like Railroad were, and I want the brutal, honest truth. Like,
Austin is giggling.
Dude, this is crazy because I think I've told you, right? Like maybe a little,
maybe a few beers in or
glimpse.
something.
Before you even
not
go
like
off,
bad. It wasn't bad, but
before you go on it though, because Austin met you before I did. He was a part of that initial meeting,
Yes.
so I feel like it is definitely best if told in Austin's eyes. But from the way I interpreted it, it was more so like I guess we didn't know. We're like, is he like is he part of Level Exchange? Is he his own thing? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I guess that's where like
Be
that was-
brutally honest. I mean, I
No,
know
I
I,
think
probably
Austin
had
has
a
the
jewel
best-
hanging out of my mouth, and I was stressed out. And
definitely not that it's funny. I think to round it off before I even start, I think what I saw in you was completely justified, but when I first had met you,
Yeah.
unknowing the prior situation you may have been in, all the meetings you had been in before me, you know, I just didn't know that. But when I first met Kyle, my first thing was like, I was at a meeting with like a shitload of other people there, seemingly a very like formal, like buttoned up thing where it's like a kickoff, like we were all part of Level Exchange. Like, you guys are the founding members, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And she's going over the business model and just like the idea behind it or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of looking at Kyle, and Kyle's there with his girlfriend Grace. And I'm like, okay. You know, and he kind of like has this kind of confidence about him where he's like, are we, he's like, God. Listen, Lynn,
say it in the Kyle voice.
No,
say it in the Kyle voice.
Please
say it in the Kyle voice.
Okay, I'm saying, oh my God, because it's just funny. It's just funny. I'm being
Lindsay,
brought back to that day.
I think these are great ideas, but I just want to focus on this one thing. What is the idea here? What are we really doing? Are we not focusing on this? Is it shows? We need to pick, you know, something to focus on for like, where are you going to focus on getting your revenue? Blah, blah, blah. It was, now looking back, it was the smartest thing that anyone in that entire meeting said that day. But yeah. I guess when I first met him, I was like, this guy's so skeptical, and me being like kind of just the very trusting the new person that I am. I maybe thought that Kyle was like, oh, why is he being like that? But then, you know. Anyway, it's smart. And now I think he's like the most laid back, fucking chill ass dude. He's like, he's just the greatest. So I don't know, Austin. You know. Well, at the end of the day, any of your anything that rubbed me the wrong way was actually just you being smarter than me. So
no, but to that point though, before we even worked with you, we had done like 2 or 3 different style shoots in terms of like how we used audio in the production
for
right?
Alex.
Like, yeah, there was one where it was like we brought a fucking Tascam like mixer, right? Mm-hmm. And we did the audio ourselves.
Whoa!
And then
so
there was some other guy.
You guys were there before me then?
No, we weren't though. But before like the live sessions,
we were
started.
asked to do something while you weren't around.
Yes,
is what
yes,
happened.
yes.
And then another guy came.
Replace the skeptical guy.
Right. But then another audio engineer came where it didn't really seem like he was an audio engineer at all. Actually,
yeah.
It was actually a terrible video that we ended up producing in the end because of just how bad the quality was. And then when we started working with you, I think it was more so we didn't know who you were, but like you were always giving us like these fire mixes that we were adding for the video. So we were like, this guy, you know, he rips the jewel a lot, but he's and he might be culling footage for like some separate project. However, the guy gets it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I must say, I'll add to that. When we were first cutting up some of those first live sessions, we were thoroughly impressed by the mixes, and I think we all knew that it was great live production, but the bands were coming out of there sounding better than they were just playing some of them. A lot of them. A lot of them.
Is that
you know?
TTNG?
Not that we had some talented fucking people in there, but let's just say Kyle's mixing and recording made it sound a lot better or realer, which was just more on point.
Shout out to West Virginia Tobacco too.
Eric Kirkland shit.
Yeah, post production, he did a great job.
We love you, buddy.
And now, what do you know? That's my favorite flavor.
And it's
the only flavor.
It's the only.
It's the only way you can go. Is West Virginia.
So, HAUS, are you guys like full time doing this, or are you guys doing other projects that aren't underneath the HAUS umbrella, freelance stuff, or have you made like the jump? Are you like full time doing it?
We are we're an LLC now. Like we're like more legit than we've ever been. You know, before it was kind of, you know, Austin was always freelancing, but I kind of always teetered between a 9 to 5. Not to say it wasn't creative work, but it wasn't like the full time freelance thing.
Yeah,
I always kind of dipped in and out. But now, you know, since COVID, like we're
I have
100%
to say,
in.
The quality of your stuff, it looks like there's somebody full time behind it. That it's not like a hobby. I mean, not to, you know. I truly do. I tell everybody. I mean, I think your work is like so impressive, and I was really, really sad to see you guys not working on the same project as me. In my opinion, there was just a clear difference between your stuff and the other stuff that was being provided. You know.
Oh yeah.
We appreciate that too, man. You know, I guess sometimes it takes someone to validate our feelings, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say we're very pompous and we thought that. You know what I mean? That opportunity didn't work out. And,
yeah.
You know.
At the same time, we just felt grateful to be there in general, but we noticed that when we were able to work with you, you know what I mean, as opposed to maybe some other pairings, like, it just was great.
Yeah, yeah. What I did notice from you guys, too, was just being very picky about making sure you got what you need. Like, I mean, I seen you guys like throw some really cocky looks across the room just because you were like, listen, we're not done.
Well, it's
We're
a gift
not
and a curse
done.
now.
We
It's a
need-
gift and a curse. We
we
get that all the
need-
time, man.
But you have to
Yeah.
be sort of assertive about getting what you need, because
it's
at the end
true.
of the day, if you don't have what you need to make the finished product, and the finished product is affected negatively because of that, who's to blame?
Right.
You
How
guys.
do you uphold your personal standard of quality? If you're trying to give off a vibe, if you're trying to set a standard or a precedent for your work or anybody that comes to you to work with you, if you got people coming to you and saying, we want this, we love the sounds, we love the this, we love the movement, we love the, your footage just looks blah blah blah, you're not going to get that if you just let someone come in and walk all over you in terms of process.
true.
And look, we said the same thing at the same time.
But what you just said too, Austin, like people will hit us up and go, I want something like this. And then they'll throw us into this environment. And, we know because we've done this for so long now together too, like our process, our synergy. It's funny you say we're exchanging looks too. I think that's hilarious because we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Secret code.
like,
Secret
yeah,
code.
exactly. We don't have to say anything, but we know. It's like, we're not there yet. Like, we know what we need, especially when someone comes in with an idea and they're like, I want it like this, like how you've done it here. We just know that either we got it or we don't. We know what we need to make it what, say, the client wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
we just kind of have it down to a science now. So it's funny that you recognize that because we,
Well, it's
a lot-
consistent
yeah.
with where I am in my position too, because, and I guarantee you guys can relate to this, but one of the most annoying things is clients. I mean, I hate to say that, but you know what it is I mean, and there's a lot of great clients, but like, when clients like, they just like assume that you can do something and they don't have any respect for all the boxes that you need to tick to make that happen. It's like, oh, you can just fix it in post, or hey, my guitar might be intonated. I don't know. That's not that important, right? My strings, yeah, they got some stuff hanging off of them, but like you can make it sound good, right? Like that type
well,
of
that's
thing.
the thing.
Yeah.
The hardest
People
thing to
don't know
hear-
what to
yeah.
be sort of anal about. It's like, yeah, I know that seems kind of minuscule to you, but like this is really important in the big picture of making your art sound great, and I'd imagine look great too.
Totally.
Or like, oh, the lighting in this room's fine, right, Hank? Like,
Well, that's the biggest thing is when people say, "Oh, it's fine," or "You got it right," and it's like, "No, we didn't." And I don't know how to say that without sounding like an asshole.
Like, was the video that brought you to work with us, was it a fine video, or was it something that made, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
I'm not even, because I'm not the person in the videos we're making. So like, what makes a video exciting is like a lot of times the content or what's in front of it. But like, it's also our job to like boost that anyway.
And then
anybody
again,
that sees a video,
when you
it's
finish
like,
a video and you send it to a client and they look at it and they say, well, this and this, can we make some adjustments here, and we didn't quite this, blah 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 blah. And I know so many times with me, I'm like, you literally were the only thing stopping me from getting this particular thing done that you want to see in your video or in your song that's not there. And it's like, they're just not privy to that, you know what I mean? And it can be quite frustrating. But there's great clients out there too.
sure.
You know what I mean? As a
Absolutely.
collaborative myself, like a creative collaborative person, like when I work with you guys, like I truly feel like, and I've been in a bunch of bands and we've shot music videos and we've dealt with video people, and when you hire an artist to do something, I always feel like it's best if you can give them stake in that. You know what I mean? Like give them some stake in it. Otherwise, they're just going to show up and do the job, leave, and not care if you're 100% happy with it. You know what I mean? I think micromanaging, I know there's some creatives out there who have a vision, don't get me wrong, but like you can't get on the same page with, say, the video person that you've got shooting it. Like, you just want them to clock in and do a job, and you're going to have a vanilla outcome. And I just feel like whenever I work with you guys, I'm always just like, let me hear your vision, and let me hear about what you want to make happen. Because if you guys are jazzed up, I want anything that you guys do for me, or any video person does for me, or any artist or designer or anything that I always think of it like I want this to be a piece of their reel. Like I want them to be so stoked on it that they put it in their reel or they put it in their resume. And I feel like that type of organic approach, when you have an artist come onto a project and take stake in it and feel like they're excited about it, I mean, that's how you're going to get a good project, right?
Yep. I mean, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like
I was
that's
so-
kind of the way
so
we work
quickly
too. Where
to
everything
agree
we
with
look
that.
at, despite the budget, because we've done like a lot of like really cheap work, but we try to approach everything. If we believe, like Austin said earlier with the community driven stuff, if we believe in the project and selfishly, if we think, we can make something better than it is and make us look good and promote ourselves, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how we spearhead everything. We look at it from a greater perspective as to how can this work if we do it better than it was supposed to be. How can it affect us in the long run? Doesn't every business owner do that to some degree?
I mean, I think if you want
every
to get
good business
ahead,
owner.
Sure.
I think if you want to get ahead, you have to shamelessly, go after the exposure and sometimes the budget that you want. But really, it's just all about creating a good product and getting people to look at it. And
they don't know how much that person paid necessarily. If it's good enough, if you can prove that it looks more expensive than it was in that specific moment or project, it
helps
you'll
you
get
in
the
some
work you want.
capacity. Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like you always see that you got to make the work that you want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's a spec ad or something where, you might have made like a Nike ad with your friends, but if you shoot it at such a high level of production quality and value, maybe Nike's going to come around and want to hire you. That's just like kind of the way it is. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, I don't know. I guess I hear what we're talking about here, too, and I also just want to toss in that. And I think it goes without saying, but there's also a piece of me that's super understanding to, people that just need to get shit done. And, they just, if you can pay me what I feel like is worth it for you to pay me to get just something done, then that's cool, too. But essentially, I think we're all, as creatives, what pumps us up is really, again, as you said, having stake in it. So it might feel really overwhelming when a creative or someone who's trying to create this masterpiece for you, the client, it might feel overwhelming when they're asking you for all these details or they're really being difficult about the lighting or the audio situation or whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to think about it. This is their name on it too. They want to make it good. And ultimately, if you let them be kind of a crazy person about these minute details that are unbeknownst to you, it's probably 99% of the time.
Dude, that statement resonates with me so much because there's so many, artists who I have in here, and I'm not a very confrontational person. I have engineers here that will fight to the bitter end if they believe in what they're doing, and I admire that. I'm a little bit more passive, but there's moments where I'm almost having an argument with an artist, and it's so hard because it's you realize I'm going above and beyond. I'm making more work for myself because I care about the product we're going to make. Don't fight me on this. I'm telling you, we need to audition a different microphone, or we need to do this, and we need to do that. And I'm just man, why is it sometimes clients are just fighting you to the bitter end when it's I get it too. It's not easy to have to answer all these questions and go over all these details, and it can be aggravating for a client. But at the end of the day, Austin just wants you to have a great product. They want to be able to say, hey, look, we've done this.
Yes. I think the general thing is as creators, we walk the fine line of a lot of things. It's educating some of your clients, bringing them up to speed on hey man,
consultations.
This is what you want, but maybe it's a little more professional, or maybe it's a little more buttoned up, or maybe people are going to take you more seriously if we go at it from this approach because the quality's better for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
And you walk the line of being easygoing and just ebbing and flowing and acquiescing with the situation, because when you're out on the fly, no audio situation is absolutely perfect, right?
Of course.
But you want it to be.
Of course.
So you're going to push it as far as you can get there.
You're going to strive for...
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, Kyle, about you, but are there ever times where someone comes in, right? An artist per se, right? And this could work from a video or an audio perspective. But that person, you've listened to their music, or you see their image and you see this great potential, right? But maybe their budget's not there. Maybe they don't have the capital. But you see something great and I know that if we work together, we can make a hit. We can make you somebody. And if you believe in the product you're creating, sometimes you'll take that, sacrifice if you're looking at it like that.
Absolutely. Budgets are real. For the most part, I get you're on a budget because maybe you're a solo artist and you're trying to, you have to pay for this all yourself. You don't have a band that's kicking in, or you're not part of a company that has a bigger budget. I totally get that. And if you're good at what you do, and if you give me some stake in it too, then absolutely. We work on projects all the time at cheaper rates. If I hate to say no. So I try to customize people's experience here so that I can offer you something. If you want to do a 10-song record and your budget's short, well, why don't we do an EP? You know what I mean? Or even one song. And I like the point that you made about educating the client. Do you guys? So I strive to do consultations so that like I can get an artist in to the nest, show them around. They love it. They love the vibe, and then I can sit down and explain to them what to expect and you know what sort of expectations are doable and good. And you know, I always tell artists that I understand what the market's like, but in here I'm a very like quality versus quantity guy. You know what I mean? If your budget's short, I don't care, let's do one song. I mean, if you're a new artist, if you're debuting some music, I mean, people aren't going to have the attention span to just invest time into listening to your art off the bat, you know? If you're a legacy artist or you've been around for a long time and you feel like people listening to you are going to expect a record, totally get it. But do you guys do any sort of like pre-production, any type of like consultations with clients first?
We definitely try. For most things. I mean, yeah, that's definitely the goal, because sometimes, you know, just because someone comes in with an idea or a vision doesn't mean it's necessarily the best one for them. So we definitely try to talk things through, give our you know,
it doesn't
intake.
always translate.
Yeah.
That's
also,
I look for you guys for that too. I'm like, hey, I got this idea. Tell me it's crazy. And then you'll be like, I think that would actually translate to video very nicely, or not.
Yep.
You know?
And
or here's how we can make it work, you know?
Definitely. I think a lot of times with video too, it's like, it starts with something that maybe somebody can't even really articulate, like verbally, or just like in a DM, which is a lot of times where it starts, like Instagram. So it's like, all right, you know, might be a risk taking some time out of your day, meeting someone through DM who just hit you up through DMs, but it's like, okay, or just give them a call. You know, there has to be some sort of communication where we kind of hear them out, hear their tone, hear their voice, hear their personality, like see their soul, if you will.
No, I totally
and
get
then
it.
and then it's like, okay, this guy is no bullshit. Like he's this, he's that. This is what he wants. Okay, I feel that. All right, he's not made of money. Whatever. We don't need to do something that's gonna cost him $1 million. Let's go to the city. Let's shoot something in 2 hours. We promise you it'll be good. Boom, done. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, and then there's like, you know, there's a fucking
No. When the budget's
you
not
know.
real, there's people who have the money who are looking to just get a lot out of you for very, very cheap, and that kind of sucks.
That's crazy.
And I always tell artists, like, at that point, it's about having skin in the game. Because if you're working me for a minimum wage or a wage that's not very good, how am I supposed to have stake in that? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm probably going to be grunting and like, I'm not going to go the extra mile. I'm not going to spend extra time editing and like really home in on like some of these really small details. And I'd imagine that to be the same thing for you. If you're well paid for a project and you actually like the content that you're creating, you're gonna work your hardest and work your best. And I've had this conversation with clients. I'm like, hey, listen, this first song that we did, it came out really great. You love working here, but you need to have a little bit more skin in the game. I can't be putting in extra hours and caring as much if you're trying to sort of lowball me.
Yeah.
And I get it if you're an artist and you're not thinking about just creating one piece of content. You're thinking about the next and the next and the next. You're thinking about keeping that content rolling, and you're thinking about how much that's going to cost. And content can sort of be this thing that doesn't really translate in terms of profitability. You know, a lot of times it's marketing, it's advertising, it's nuanced.
It's an expense. You know, it's an investment. And like Austin said, you know, it really does come down to educating your clients. To what you just said, I have this funny story. I used to be an intern at FM Global. It was like one of the first jobs I ever had when I was in college, and I worked. You know, it's a global insurance. It's a really boring company. They're huge, but I worked on their creative
Insurance
team.
sounds boring, yeah.
Oh, wicked! But
What are you talking about? It sounds awesome.
But I had this manager who, in hindsight, he's absolutely like bonkers, right? Crazy guy. I have so many stories like that I feel like have shaped my business etiquette in both a good and sometimes like a weird way. But he basically showed me this like he called it the production triangle, and I see it in so many different facets.
Oh,
but
I've seen this
yeah,
too.
it's basically a
It's so
triangle,
true.
and there's 3 points, and it says good, fast, and cheap, but you can only pick 2.
Yep.
And that always resonated with me because I felt like, you know, from there on out, once I started producing creative and this video work, that really was like that's it. You know what I mean? It's so true. Like, what's your budget? Is it going to be really high quality? Is it going to be good? Do you want it fast? Okay, well, you can only pick 2 of those.
Unless you got $1 million, unless you want to pay us, honestly, sorry, I'm going to say it, what we deserve for creating these pieces, you know, especially on the fly or not, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, how many times are we paid what we deserve, you know?
not often, but at
Not
the
to be
on the
arrogant,
other
but,
hand,
like-
I think that when you become an artist, you also know the trade-off is I might really be in love with the creative process right now on this project, and I'm actually getting paid to, in some ways, have a little fun. You know what I mean? And in some ways, it goes beyond fun. It's like a fulfillment. It's like a feeling of like,
Absolutely.
you know,
There's a huge difference.
you're making art with other people. It's all.
And you're calling it your job. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to check myself several times a week when I start complaining, and then I'm like, about maybe like the amount of hours that I'm working, and I'm like, I'm not waiting tables. Like, I'm playing
No.
with guitars. Like, you know what I mean? Like, chill out, dude. Like, you can work some extra hours and go home and sleep great knowing that what you're doing is affecting people. It's fulfilling. You know, I'm not just working some mindless job making somebody a bunch of money. You know, going home at the end of the day and literally just having enough energy to just sit at the couch and marinate because, like, I spent all my energy doing something that really doesn't change the world or change anybody or make anybody feel anything. But so I think that's a sort of a trade-off. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I know this, especially in your industry, like, you guys probably deserve to be making twice as much as you do make. But there is also the trade-off that, like, at any point, you guys can put your cameras down and probably go sell insurance. You can probably go make a lot of money somewhere. But guess what? Do that for a year and, like, and try loving your life because
No.
it sucks, you know?
Maybe. I don't think so.
There's
Not
just
right
a lot
now.
more flexibility too with working for yourself. You know
of
what I mean?
course.
Like, but
There is and there
you know,
isn't.
Even to that point, like you're not working for the corporate machine. You know, like all the hours that you put in, you don't really feel like you're wasting it away on a company that might not necessarily care about you in the end of it. You know, you're working for yourself and you're working towards your own goals. It, in a way, it kind of has its.
There's no ceiling.
Yeah,
You can take it as far as you can take it.
you realize
depending
that
on how crazy
it's
you are.
only helping you in the end. You're only working towards a better you. I feel like that's what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, and also just like monetary values aside, whatever, like I know that's like some hippie bullshit, but ready? It's like sometimes the payback is like a moment like this where, shameless plug, I'll plug a couple people here, but like we have this artist, Angie, who goes by Aganza. And, you know, I've kind of had a hunch that, you know, since this one project that we all worked on together, that like her shit's been blowing up. Like she's been getting, you know, and I'm not going to say that's because of this one video we did for her.
But
like
it
she's an
helps.
incredible artist. She has drive, and I think she has what it takes to do what she's doing, and she's doing it. But she said to us the other day on a shoot, she was like, you know, that video I did with you guys, like that, my work exploded after that. And I really feel like us
Dude.
as a production company, we might have leveled up a bit on that project because we were like, wow, we're doing something with real purpose here. But for her, that was her portfolio, or that was a big piece for her.
Yeah,
It's on
you
a
can't
pedestal.
put a price
there.
tag on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be
It was her
moments where you
portfolio
guys
in a
are like
video,
really
you know?
feeling like you're at home and you're editing, but you like, I don't like for me, like I have those moments where the hair in the back of my neck sticks up and I get really inspired and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this. Like this is so cool. Like you guys must have that moment, especially with visual stuff where you're like cutting some shots together and really getting the message across, and you're just like.
You know, this is it.
It's
Yeah.
exciting. You get your heart starts to race. You're like, oh my god, this is so cool. And I often say to myself, I can't believe you're getting paid to do that. Like this is a lot of fun.
You got to remind yourself of that.
You have to.
Even
You
though
have
it's
to.
just like you earned it. You're there. You know what I mean? This is for you, or this is because of the services you have. You know.
Yeah.
been
You have to
providing.
remind yourself too, because there's ugly work that's involved. I mean, when you guys are sifting through a day's worth of footage, looking for the shots that are in focus and the shots that aren't terrible, I mean, that sucks, hands down. It's not the funnest thing to do.
Selects.
Right. But also when you're creative directing on the fly and you have this project that really doesn't have any direction whatsoever,
Oh.
and you're essentially building out the project in the edit, which is kind of like the worst thing that could happen to you as an editor. You don't
Yeah.
want to be building the story necessarily in the edit from scratch with no external...
With no idea at all.
Yeah, no
really.
context. You're like, okay, well, I have all this footage. This was their original idea. This is what we have. Okay, this is what we're going to create. You know what I mean? So sometimes I feel like there are times where you deliver something where it might not have been 100% what they asked for,
But it's basically your best shot at a real video.
But it's something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I imagine you guys have probably been in a lot of situations, especially coming up and learning, where you're essentially putting together stuff in post where you're just like, okay, now this isn't translating, so I got to create a story and I've got to create, this in post. I mean, I know that in the audio world, I deal with it a lot, where I call it like,
Frankensteining?
yeah, less fixing and more mixing. Because there's literally projects where it's like, all right, it's time to mix. Oh, no. It's time to edit everything. Because the guitar player couldn't play on the click, or despite how many times I made him play over and over and over again, he just has no respect for tuning. Like, people like playing power chords. It's like, yo, you're a 30-year-old man playing power chords. You can at least play them in tune and play them well. You know what I mean? And
it's crazy because I feel like, I guess when I look at things now, I try not to, chastise the person that made it, because I also understand that you don't know what environment they were in. You don't know what happened, or maybe he lost footage, or maybe he missed a shot, or just something happened where the video came out the way it did because they only had what they had. Do you know what I mean? So I try to look at creative work like that, where I'm just not ripping it apart and saying, oh, this sucks. It's like, well, maybe they just didn't have the resources. You know what I mean?
Totally,
or maybe they have
man.
the vision, and if they had the resources, they could do so much better.
as a consumer of art, I consider that like leveling up another tier of wokeness. When you start to realize that, like, as artists, we're kind of intuitively sort of critical of other art, but then you get in the thick of it, like you're saying, and you start to realize, oh my gosh, like, people listen to a song that we may have recorded and they might hear some flaws, but what they don't realize is that, like, this band was insufferable to be in the same room with. Like, they had no respect for the process. And I imagine you guys have the same situations where you have people that they want you to just do the thing, and they don't respect the grind and the process and the attention to detail. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you still got to put it out.
And with the social environment too, I just feel like it's really crucial that anyone in your network that you follow to some degree, like, you should put them on, man. You should, hype them up and make them feel validated to what they're doing. Because, Austin, you should talk about that whole thing that you read about, like, that space where your taste doesn't necessarily meet. You should talk about it, honestly. I feel like you better explain it, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah, in what context, though? Like,
I'm just saying, like, when
Are you saying, like, in terms of being, like, positive and kind of community-driven and kind of amping people up?
But just seeing value in someone that has potential but not the resources. It all comes down to that. Like,
of course.
I guess that's the reverse of kind of like the taste gap thing, right?
Well, that's more of like a personal thing, but I'm just saying, with what you're about to explain in depth, I use that to gauge, like, where I see value and so on. Maybe their work's not the greatest, you know what I mean? Okay. Maybe not yet, but I see that it's
the potential.
It's on the way. You know what I mean?
Saying.
I can see when there's someone that you should be paying attention to.
So he's saying that he can see a lot of potential in somebody who's in a, I guess, I don't know, I saw a meme or some like thing, some viral video that was describing, like, the creative process. And it was like, why do I hate my art? I think that was like the headline, but it was like, it was like you're in the gap, like the creative gap or the taste gap, where your tastes develop far beyond your ability. But that's how we all learn. We latch onto something that's far above our ability, study it, obsess over it, and then our tastes start to gravitate towards the things that they're doing to make that product. So it's like, okay, I guess what Henry's saying is he can definitely see the potential in people who are kind of halfway there, which is like,
because that's
everybody coming up, because he can relate, and I can
Everybody
too.
My shit was bad, dude.
Yeah,
when I started, my
no,
shit
it was never
bad.
Well, okay, whatever. Everyone's shit's bad at some point.
Yeah.
I guess it's funny. This is like a full circle thing because, yeah, you were there.
When I met Austin, dude, I don't even know why he wanted to work with me. Let's put it that way.
That's not true.
Maybe he saw the potential.
Well, he saw
Maybe
that
I saw you in the gap.
Yeah,
bro.
well, I had the drive. I had the vision.
I was in a gap of my own as well.
But I also just feel like with my corporate background, it just kind of led me to uphold myself to a business standard. Like, I knew that I could monetize and make creative a business, even if I didn't necessarily feel like I had the talent at the time, because I definitely didn't. But I had the energy.
Yes.
I had the passion.
Yes.
But I literally started with like a really crappy camera, and I didn't really know how to use it too well, and it just took a while for me to really hone my skills. And when I met Austin, I just feel like I said, we keep referencing this synergy, but I feel like the way that Austin and I started to work together, it became very apparent early on that we could do something out of this. We could make this a business. We could become like this real brand entity, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
You filled in a lot of the
being,
gaps.
Yeah, but it started with being really fucking bad at what I did.
Of course.
My stuff was not
but
good.
good at a lot of the shit that I wasn't good at. So it was kind of like the match, you know? It was kind of just the right for the time. And
I think it's important to be able to reflect. It's important to be able to look back at even a very recent piece of work that you did and say that's not good enough, because I feel like one thing that I struggled with was, like yourself, Hank, my shit sucked. Not long ago, actually. I mean, I sucked for a long time. I was a bad singer. My tastes sucked, and like I maybe dealt with that far too long, and I was so eager and I had so much energy to be at the top and to be winning, but I didn't. I don't know. I lacked this element of like being able to reflect and really figure out why it is that my art was, within a week I didn't like any song that I did.
Right.
So that I feel like that's such a healthy growing process. Like I feel like
I don't know, man. It's tough because like I don't know. You just said it was very recently. I'd say it was for me too. Like I graduated college in 2015. That's when I met Austin. You know what I mean? So that was 5 years ago. If you really look at it, it's not that long ago.
Yeah,
so when I graduated college, like I was to some degree like pretty bad. Sure, I had a college degree, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I wasn't where I wanted to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. Like
and
in hindsight,
college degrees are such a topic too, because I feel like so many people go to school, pay attention and read the books and take the test and do X, Y, and Z, and then they come out of school with sort of like, I still don't know how to get there or make this work, or I feel like to be successful, at least in the art field, it takes sort of like a healthy ratio of like book smart and street smart.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I learned something
the real world experience,
Mm-hmm.
being in the hot seat with the client.
That's how you really
how it
learn.
goes.
I just feel like a lot of people go
A
to
fake
college.
client if you're lucky. That's
Yeah.
what I got lucky in my program. That's what they did. But
Nice.
otherwise,
Oh, that's excellent.
yeah, I know.
Because there's so many things that
a
school
program,
can't
by the
prepare
way,
you
that
for.
was defunded by Boston University and closed the year after I graduated.
So you went to
my
BU?
only formal training. No, it was a 1 year.
Bulldogs? Oh.
No, not at all. Actually, no, just a 1 year like thing. They do it on Moody Street in Waltham. It's called the Center for Digital Arts now, but it's totally like not accredited, not anything. But the people there were fucking awesome. At least when I was there. And
But
anyway,
you knew what you wanted to do.
Right.
So this is the thing. This is why I met
Okay.
Austin. When I graduated, right, I was 22. I met Austin. He was like, what were you, 18, bro? Like 19? He was young, dude.
wow.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
before
holy
I couldn't
shit,
even
this
drink.
kid...
I couldn't even drink, right?
Yeah, he couldn't even drink. I invited him
Right?
over to my apartment, and like I
Yeah,
offered him
it
a
was
beer,
like
and he was super weird about it, and it was so funny. No, but I was very inspired by Austin. I was like, holy shit! I just went to a 4-year college, and sure, dude. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I think what you were even saying, Kyle, is a lot of people go to college, but they're not really learning because a lot of people, you study up for this test, but what most people don't realize is that the human brain, in most cases, loses recall, right? 80% of your recall within 24 hours, man.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
Yep.
So if you're not really passionate about what you're learning about, you're not really learning. And to that point, when I met Austin, I was like, holy shit, this kid is crushing it at so young. He's so talented. He's so creative, right? Sorry, yeah, he's looking at me
Don't
like,
shake your head.
wow.
Crazy.
You really mean that,
Thanks,
dude?
bro.
No,
Dude, I love it.
No, but I do. I mean it, and in the sense where it's literally brought me to where we are. Like I realized I was like, if I want to learn how to do the stuff that I know I can do, even though I couldn't do it at the time, I fucking watched YouTube videos all day, all night. My girlfriend thought I was crazy, man. She was like, all you do is watch videos, and I go, yeah, but you don't understand. Like I'm learning a lot,
Dude, that's
because
a
I
great...
absorb
Kid's like
shit,
a
man.
sponge.
I absorb
I can
things,
confirm.
man. And it just
Can
over
confirm.
the course of 5 years, man. It didn't. It's crazy. I went to college for 4, but I've learned so much in 3.
Of
You know
course,
what I mean?
it's exactly that. It's crazy. The problem with school is they don't come off the bat being like, yo, if you want to make it as an artist, you have to be crazy. Because you fucking have to be crazy.
Yep.
You have to be crazy enough to
Little
say,
bit.
this isn't impossible. Because everybody, I mean, when I walked into NEIT, the first question I was like, I did VAP, video audio production, and the first question I had was like, how come this is like 95% visual and 5% audio? Like, this is a video audio production type thing. And they were just like, Kid, there ain't no jobs in audio. The video is where you got to be, and there's barely any jobs at that. I mean, technology is evolving. I feel like every day we hear at least on the audio side, every day I hear skeptics talking about how, I'm not going to have a job in 10 years, that technology is evolving, and, X, Y, and Z as to why my career choice isn't sustainable. But guess what?
It's quite the opposite.
I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm fucking crazy. And I'm like, yo, that's not true. Like,
wow.
We're
really on this level right now.
No, we are, because I've been told that my whole life, dude. They're like, oh, Henry, what are you going to school for? But, video? Oh, my nephew is in video, and he still doesn't have a job.
Dude.
And then there was this resurgence of, prosumer cameras and the high quality specs and little devices. So kids, and then watching YouTube videos, and these kids that are like mad young are crushing it. Mm-hmm. It's such a lie, man. All the world needs now, corporate runs off of content.
Yes.
Audio and video related.
Of course, content is more important than it's ever been with the
There's-
internet.
There's such a high demand.
By
And
the
look
way,
at
your
COVID.
video content is dog shit without good audio.
Yeah,
Just want to say that
too, for sure.
I'm
Just wanna
glad
make
you
sure I
said that,
snuck
man.
that
I'm
in
glad
there.
you said that. I
Because
I
it's
love that you
important.
guys
If you're going to
are-
be a young run and gunner, you're going to be capturing like those corporate testimonials. Don't have shitty audio like I did, because it ruins
Dude,
the purpose of the
The
video.
hottest thing is like when you're watching a video and you can hear sound effects. To me, that is just like the most incredible experience. When you hear that that re-recorded overdub of like water trickling or like any sort of thing like that, it creates this like sensory overload. Like,
Well,
and
dude.
I might be a bit ignorant to it because
No, you're not, though.
Wait, are
you just
I
said
can't tell- I
experience.
can't-
That's the key word, man, is creating an experience.
You're talking about it in a good way, right?
I'm talking about it in a total good way.
Okay. Sorry.
Like,
I
I-
couldn't tell for a second if you're talking about bad sound design. Like
No,
when someone has like...
No, but sound
that
design at all,
exists.
Kyle, is the
Shitty
key, man, to
sound
good video
design.
production. And that's why we knew early on that we were like, Kyle's the man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's
True.
making these videos even so much better than they are because it's such a clean sound. And, and we're staging these as live sessions. So the fact that we're able to get like a one-track take and boom, 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 we're done, right?
Yeah.
But to that point, like, we realized, we started learning and growing. Like, I feel like when Austin and I first started, it was a music track with someone being like, hey, my name is so-and-so and I do this. And then there's some B-roll to cut it. But then I feel like I started going crazy with a lot of stuff I was seeing, and I was like, Austin,
What if we didn't?
what if we started adding sound design where when you see the water pouring, you actually hear it pouring?
Yeah.
Even if we don't have the audio effect and we could get it offline, we could put it in.
That's next level.
Yeah.
I feel like
and that's where shit started to take off, man.
Yeah, or just like thinking about videos a different way, storytelling wise. So instead of having someone's introduction right up front, you're showing them actually doing what they're talking about, and the sound effects are coming in, and then it's, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm a woodworker, and you hear the fucking
like
like
that was
chainsaw
always-
carving.
yeah, all that bullshit.
But that was always my comment. I'd be like, Austin, what if we could just take his intro and push it to the middle, where he talks about his process and you're learning about who he is, and then he tells you his name. Because it's super...
draw people in.
Yeah, it's too corporate.
Now they're
It's like,
interested.
Yeah,
What,
hey,
what's
my
going
name
on
is.
here?
It's like, dude, okay, that's cool what your name is, but isn't what we're telling what you do?
Music's
so why don't
the
we show
same
it
thing.
and tell the audience first what you do, and then tell them who you are?
Totally,
you know what I
man.
mean? Because now you got them.
And you can think of that in the same way with audio. I mean, like a song, I love songs that kind of like draw you in. Like I always tell artists like, yo, this intro's great because like I kind of want to like lean into it and kind of like hear it and like try to figure something out. And then I get this impact in an appropriate spot. And they're so similar.
Well, because it's storytelling, man. And at the end of the day, the human mind craves form. You know what I mean? So if you can structure it and break it up into segments that all kind of tie together, people are going to be impressed.
And reinvent the wheel, you know what I mean? Make an ad, get the point across, but do it in a way that...
follow the rules, but break them at the same time.
Exactly. This is why I love the vibe from you guys, too, because I feel like you guys are also up against a lot. Cameras, I mean, what we've just discussed. I've literally had a person ask me what I do, and I tell them, and they're like, oh, that's still a thing? I'm like, yeah, no, like, not everybody is recording in GarageBand in their bedrooms and winning Grammys. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. People don't take me seriously, too. That's the worst thing, too. It's like, yo, I'm an S-Corp. I'm on my own payroll. Like, this is my job. But I have to demand for people to take me seriously because it's just like, oh, yeah, in Massachusetts? Don't you think you should be in Nashville or something? You know what I mean? Like, all these terrible... all
I'm
these
just
terrible
so confused
stereotypes.
by that shit. It's
Me
just
too.
people who are unaware of like
It is.
the many other facets of life, and that's.
But there's
sorry,
so
I'm
many
just gonna-
people. There's so many people that
Yeah.
are that pick up a microphone or pick up a camera and then get discouraged after sinking money and time into it when they realize, oh, like this is extremely difficult. And that's why I can know right off the bat that you guys have a certain backbone where you're like, you know what? I've heard people talk shit about this. I've heard people not take it seriously. But at the end of the day, my work and the fact that my business will be sustainable is going to speak for itself. So it's like all that crap that people said to me coming up, and all the doubt and all the advising to literally do anything else. It kind of went dark when it was like, oh my God, like he's been doing that for a few years and it's been doing nothing but growing. Or oh my God, have you seen HAUS's new video? Like that shit is next level. Or they're working with these crazy brands. Like all of a sudden it's just like, yo. But to get there, oh my God, you have to have like an incredible backbone, because I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced like these long, painstaking learning curves and these moments where you're like, I just want to fucking give up. Like, fuck this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I feel like, again, with like meeting Austin, like a lot of my perspective changed, and I took a lot of the stuff that people said to me in a negative way and I brushed it off, right? Because also Austin's dad, Eric, owns a design firm, and I kind of worked with Austin and Eric in the beginning, and in a way he was like a mentor to me, because he was like the opposite of my dad, who told me that there was no money in creative, and
Get a real job, kid.
Henry, you went to college to do this, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? For so long, man. And I think once I just kind of ignored it and listened to the right side, like the angels on my shoulder, you know what I mean? Austin and Eric, that there was potential in this. And then the work started to come out and I could show the work, is when it kind of like clicked, and it was like, okay, fuck what everybody says.
Yeah.
Like there is totally a business in this.
They grew up in a different world, man.
It's crazy,
I mean,
man.
The freelance, to think that, like, I've been saying it for a while now, but I think, like, in the coming years, like, most people's, like, jobs out of high school could be freelance. Like, people are going to be, like, freelance. Everyone's going to be freelance. And here, freelance and that are starting their own companies. Where back then, it was just, like, you got a good, secure job, you got paid well, you got a house. Like, I just think the times have shifted, and it's really difficult, because you have a lot of boomers, you have a lot of people's parents who are actually telling them, get a real job, kid, or like, why don't you go be a doctor or a lawyer or something? And you're like, nah, like, and that's discouraging. Yeah, that's very difficult. I mean, it sounds to me like you sort of have you sort of lucked out with having a father in the creative world.
A mother too.
Yeah.
Really?
I basically, I can't even speak to how grateful I am in terms of opportunity, and just how my parents really influenced my growth as a creative. It's unrepayable what I owe to them for that. But yeah, I'm just, and in a sense, like, they'll probably like, oh, well, whatever, Austin, like, we're artists too, we get it. But it's like, yeah, I'm so thankful to have that, because there are people that just don't have the perspective, the parents who don't have the perspective, just simply because of what they do. Yeah. Imagine a banker father and a mother who's like anything, could like works at a grocery store, could work anywhere. Not to say that people can't learn and people can see that, somebody wants to take their life in a different direction, but
there's plenty of examples of people getting a degree in something that they wanted to do and getting out and trying to do it and failing to make, boomers or people's folks be like, see, I told you, now you got 30 grand worth of debt and you're working at, a pizza joint slinging pies, and I get it. And this is just one of the many, like, nuanced details of why it is so difficult to, like, I'm going to be lame, pursue your dreams or make art a career.
Well, it's not hold on. It's not lame anymore in 2020 to pursue your dreams.
It's not.
Can't be thinking like that. Well, maybe not 2020. Well, 2020 sucks. Maybe 2021 or 2022.
There are definitely a lot of people.
Plan now.
2020, it's like surviving is cool.
You're
cool, man. You're alive.
Yeah. No, but there's a lot of people that are still against you at the end of the day. I feel like, everyone has friends that,
secretly rooting against you.
Yeah, but once they start to see you growing and like see you blowing up, then they slide in.
Told
like,
you, bro.
Oh, dude, yo, man, are you?
I always knew you would. Yeah.
It's like, dude, we're friends. You've been following me. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
conversation kind of leads me to a question that I wanted to ask you that I didn't really know about you. You guys was sort of like, you know, what inspired you guys to like pick up cameras and like be photographers and be cinematographers and like, is there any like specific moment where you were like, you know what, I don't want to be a baseball player. I want to be a, you know, I want to be a director or anything like that. I mean, maybe for Austin, it was his parents and seeing what they did, or
I mean,
it was a lot of
yeah.
different things for me. I mean,
Yours
I
is
can go.
no,
you
Austin.
go.
Yours is definitely much more of like a story than mine. I just
Okay.
feel like at one point I bought a camera and was like, oh, I really enjoy this, and I started watching YouTube, right? You know, and really took off with it. Not to say I didn't study film in school, I did, but I didn't really see it as being what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? I just thought I was going to work for like an agency or something, and that was the end of it. Maybe as like a hands-off, client-facing, get it done kind of guy, but not doing any creative. Austin's, I feel like, is much more like, oh, you get why he has a camera in his hand, you know?
well, you know what's interesting is I mean, first and foremost, maybe you are a musician, and maybe that work doesn't pay your bills, but maybe like you picked up a guitar before a camera. And on Rich's podcast, we talked about how, like, you know, back in the day when we're in a band and you were starting a thing, and especially chronologically when we started doing it, you almost had, now you would like, I want to have a website, and we're kids and we can't afford to have a web designer, so all of a sudden you're like learning code because you want your MySpace to look better, so you start to wear all these hats. You want to shoot a video, you can't pay somebody, so you pick up a camera. And I think like being in a band, and I don't know that you've ever been in any bands or anything like that, but like I can say that being in a band it sort of forces you to kind of be a jack of all trades, because you start to pick up a camera to do this, and you kind of want to do all these things, and it's just like impossible as a young kid like making music to be able to afford that yourself. So would you say that, you know, maybe some of your inspiration for being somebody who does film came from music?
When I was younger, music was my first love as far as like creative work and whatever, but I definitely started a YouTube channel, and I had a lot of people telling me I should do that shit, and I kind of just like did it, and I developed my own goofy, like, ridiculous shit that I would do before and after the videos for, like, an intro and blah, blah, blah. It was just me doing, like, Iron Man covers and shit. And
That's awesome, though.
That was my introduction to, like, content, YouTube. Like, you know, I just always was a musician. I didn't think I would be the musician that I am now, where it, like, is half of my life or like, at least a quarter of it, whatever. But, yeah, so video just was always a thing. It was like, okay, I'm gonna upload these music videos, blah blah blah. And then I messed around with my little brother with like these weird, I don't know if anyone remembers these weird cameras I would buy at CVS. They looked like a prototype model of the Flip Video. So if anyone remembers a Flip Video, it's just like this tiny little thing with a USB that flips out.
I had one.
Oh, word. Yeah, a lot of people have them.
I mean, for that time, they were pretty awesome
pretty
quality
cool.
for what they were, too.
Pretty cool,
you know
right?
What I mean?
So, yeah, there are these, like, I don't know, I use Flip Videos all the time. I also, before that, would buy these disposable things where you would film, and the only way to edit it, per se, was just to send it in to, like, whatever processing company, and it comes back to you as you shot it in a line of digital clips that were just saved in a number 1 to whatever on your thing that you sent in. So I would receive these DVDs back in the mail, and my brother, my parents, my family would watch it, blah, blah, blah. That was like my first videos. Then I got really into skateboarding. That was huge. All my friends skateboarded. I was never as good as them, so I would always film them. And I became the, quote unquote, as skateboarders call it, the filmer. And the filmer of the group is usually the pudgier dude who's like shittier at doing tricks and shit. And like, I would just follow all these kids that I knew growing up and then met through skateboarding and follow them all around. And like, I was just that dude. You have to give no fucks. You have to roll up to these skate spots with like, you know, semi-pro skaters, and they're all looking at you like you're a fucking loser. But you're not, because you're capturing the tricks and you are the guy that's doing that. So I also developed this, like, I feel like this sense of like thick skin when I'm behind a camera, because you just run in there and you just capture it, and you just don't give a shit if you look weird doing it, like, because you know you're going to be cutting up the fire later on. You're going to be making what everyone loves to go on and watch, like, over and over and over. So,
and that's so beneficial, because if there's one thing I can say from even just being a second shooter for Rich, like, when you hold the camera, you have to be sort of aggressive and sort of assertive, and you really need to demand. You're sort of a director. You're all that stuff in one. I mean, I know just from, like, being a second shooter on, like, weddings, it's like, if you hold the camera, oh, forget about it. you can't be in public without people being like, "Hey," or "Take a picture of me," and I'm like, "This is a C100." Like, no, like,
dude, you're
you know,
speaking like the
oh,
term that
so
I do.
annoying.
You take any good pictures?
Yeah.
It's like, lady, does this look like a photo camera?
No,
Damn.
or like people you just see this really great organic moment, and as soon as you whip the camera out, it turns into this disgusting, like, everyone's looking away or trying to look at you, and it's just like, all right, chill out. You never seen a camera before? Like, come on.
It's
Man.
All I can do is laugh because it's my life.
I know. I feel for you guys. Hardcore.
Oh man,
right
I
now.
feel for you too.
And we're all. I actually have to apologize on the podcast for maybe the hum that people are hearing. We do have the AC on low. I apologize if it's annoying, but I'm gonna try to high pass it out. It is so hot. It is super hot. How you holding up, Hank?
I could use another beer.
Ooh. Okay, we'll get some more.
I feel like there was
beers,
supposed to be
too,
an
in the mix.
ooh that was cued in there. Here, layer this in. Ooh. Yeah, put mine in there.
Yeah, Logic has that stock sound actually.
Oh, all right.
Ooh. I'll
the
put it
auto-
in right
auto
now.
harmony.
But
I wanted to hear more about how you guys came together to become
It's
HAUS.
It's such
it's
like
not
a
like a
weird story.
wicked eventful
Yeah.
story, but yeah, definitely.
It's
since you're not from the band world, like
But
Tell me
here's the
about
thing,
tell me
though.
about Buddy in
Here's
the
the-
club scene.
Oh my god, I could go there. Yeah, my
You were
my
clever?
life in the creative scene, especially when I'm looking at it in hindsight, like has been everywhere. And I guess I do kind of understand why I'm here now, but I definitely had a video camera when I was a kid, and I made like shitty videos. I actually loved Jackass growing up, and I just thought
me
like
too, man.
like hurting myself on camera was just so funny. I just thought that like that was the era where people just loved seeing people get fucked up. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just so funny, like, you know. But I actually was a musician to a degree. I grew up playing drums for a good while.
Oh,
but
really? I didn't know that.
I
about
joked
you.
about it with you guys there. I was like, oh, I wouldn't really be any better. I definitely plateaued
You were
as a
holding
kid.
out. You were a sleeper. You could have
Well,
went in there and just like
I
killed
just-
it. Is what you're saying.
Who knows? But like, I just didn't want to impose it all. But yeah, I did grow up playing drums for quite a bit. But I don't think that was where I definitely was like great. I think I have, Austin will tell you, I have good rhythm and like I can hold a beat, you know. But I think that ended up translating into my love for post production and editing, and I'm always like tapping my fingers to things, and
Yes.
I
It's
kind of use that to,
Cuts on the beat.
right, exactly.
you know?
But I'm also a film buff too, so like I draw inspiration from some of my favorite films and directors, and you know, that's kind of like where it led me. I feel like in like a nutshell, that's where I am now because of my love for movies and films and also television. I just love a good story, you know. Grew up being like a huge book nerd too, you know.
You did touch on it quickly about meeting Austin, but
Yeah.
did you guys meet in school?
You know what's crazy, man? Austin and I
We-
grew up in the same suburb town in Massachusetts. We
Same
went to high school
hometown.
together, but we weren't friends. We didn't really know each other.
Yeah,
Where
the
was that?
only it was Holliston, Massachusetts.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's like near Framingham, Milford, for anybody in the Rhode Island area that doesn't know. But
A suburb.
yeah, it's not okay. So I personally had no like issue with the town itself. It's just like, you know, there's an essence of like where we grew up. It's just kind of like annoying, like suburby, like really lame shit. Like no one really seems to support one another. It seems very
Should write a
every
pop
man
punk
for
song about
himselfish.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's never been done before. It's just kind of like a lame old fucking town. Anyway, we both went to high school there. I remember as the young, super shy kid that I was, I think I saw Henry like hanging with some of the cool kids, and I thought that he was probably a cool kid too. So I was just like, oh, you know,
Oh, what
Oh,
a
dude,
noob! Is
that's-
it me?
that's so
It's you.
It's totally me.
so
It's-
unprofesh, man.
Oh my god,
Dude, I don't think we can work together anymore.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
Dude, don't apologize.
So yeah, Hank was the cool kid. He was stealing everybody's
cool.
lunch money. And
Wow.
Definitely.
Maybe for a little bit.
Driving
for sure.
around in his little Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I hate
I remember
that you
I saw him
brought that up.
downtown. I saw him at the store with that thing.
Damn.
It's like, dude, this guy's cool, man. He's cool.
Nah. I might have thought I was cool, dude, but I
He's
wasn't
cool,
cool.
man.
So you were, but I mean,
He's cool, man. He's cool.
You were like into the club scene or something?
No,
Oh,
this is-
okay,
that's
we'll
like a
get
way
there.
later
We'll get
date. That's
there.
a way
We'll get
later
there.
date. But yeah,
No,
can I
like-
just break it down? Because I feel like at the end of the day, if I didn't hit you up, there would
Nothing
be,
would happen.
Yeah, I don't think Austin really necessarily gave a shit
because
about,
of the source that was telling me, oh
Yeah,
yeah, this guy wants to work there. I was like, yeah,
we had a
okay,
mutual
Lucas.
friend in high school, not the most, you know, upstanding citizen by any means, but we had a mutual connection.
Good friend of mine, love him. But
not necessarily a good friend of mine, but I knew him, right? And he just kind of put like, you do video stuff? Oh, have you talked to Austin Dillon? Like, he's really good. And I guess I was just like, Austin Dillon. And I kind of remembered. But then I started like, I'm the kind of guy where if I want to learn about something or someone, I'm going to creep. And I'm going to analyze everything about you. To that degree, I realized that Austin Dillon was a one-skilled motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
and I was like, I followed up and I was like, hey, man, you're right. Like, I definitely could see myself working with Austin. At the time, I had just graduated college. I was working still at FM Global, finishing up my internship, but I didn't really have like a sense of real purpose. I did have another corporate creative job lined up. Wasn't super thrilled about it, but definitely trying to, a fresh young adult in the market. I was just trying to see where I could go. And I definitely started with Austin, and I texted him, and we started shooting the shit. Shooting the dick.
Shooting the dick.
I think is what I was about to say.
I shot myself in the dick.
Shot myself in the dick.
I shot myself in the gack.
No, but
So you shot him in the dick.
No, but
So he
ironically,
shot me in my
Austin, I had moved to Providence after I went to URI. So I was living in Providence with my girlfriend, and Austin, ironically, it's all weird. Like, we went to the same high school. Austin moved to Providence. I think you were living at your dad's at the time, right? Regardless, he moved to Providence, and like somehow we were like, oh, like we're both in the area. Like, let's link up. So he came over, might have had a drink or two, maybe something else. We were chatting. He was showing me stuff. Yeah.
Shot him in the dick.
Well,
Indulge in the house ritual.
No, yes. We don't need to say what that is, but people know.
No, edit that
it's Massachusetts,
shit out,
so.
bro.
Oh, yeah, true. Shit's legal here.
Yeah, but we're not
a
a Massachusetts business, Kyle.
All right. Regardless, we took a liking to each other. We, there's definitely some sense of awkwardness at first because we were like, we know each other. This is weird. Like, what are we doing here, right?
It was.
And Austin also had like dudes in his network that he was already like using for his like projects that involved more bodies.
No one who is as chill as Henry, though. I didn't have to deal with the kind of bullshit that I had to deal with a lot of other people when I was working with Henry. I didn't really have to deal. I just kind of like. I knew that he was a very detail-oriented person, so he liked to know everything there was about the gigs, which was different than anyone else I had worked with. It was like, why does he want to know so much shit? Like, why do I... But at the end of the day, he's smart, as opposed to a lot of the other people who I'd work with who are just like, what? Yeah. I just shit out a couple clips on this SD card. Good luck, bro.
No, dude.
I was going to say detail-oriented is professional.
Sure. I
Even
I also
with
came
gigs,
off
man.
crazy, though. I came off crazy, though. I think to Austin at the time.
You always come off crazy,
Well, no,
Henry.
because I literally always wanted to know the details. Because if I knew all the information, I knew how, in my head, how I'd be able to capitalize on it, I guess,
Yeah.
But at the time being, yeah, sure. It was definitely just like, dude just wants to know everything, and it's so annoying.
No, not really.
No,
I honestly feel more
I got
like that
too,
now
man.
than
I got
before.
that too.
Well, for me?
No, not from you. I received that criticism myself because as a manager of a band, I wanted to know every detail of a gig. You know what I mean? And the band was even annoyed with it. But guess what? How many fucking shows did we play where we were supposed to play at this spot in the lineup and we ended up opening or closing at 1:30 in the morning? I mean, there's just promoters and people setting up shows and other bands that are just kind of trying to fuck you over. And at the end of the day, like, if I roll in and I know every fucking detail of, I can literally call people out and be like, nope.
Well, so
nope.
Yo, it's crazy.
I mean,
bro.
you probably played a million shitty shows, and it's like,
For that.
maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say I have.
No, I have. Honestly, Kyle, your band is probably a little more professional than mine in that capacity. But I after going on tour once, I not that I really encountered too many of those situations. Again, you're just at a higher level than me. But it's important in any facet of life.
Exactly.
It's just like if you're showing up and you're kind of like performing, or you're on the hot seat in some capacity. Like, that's your job to do something. Know about it. You know what I mean? Don't be caught
being
wondering whether some guy's fucking you over. You got to know if he's fucking you over, because then you're gonna fix it.
But what you said, Kyle, like by knowing all that information, you can start to hold people accountable.
Exactly.
And I feel like that is like business 101 is accountability and like
being a manager.
Exactly.
Because that's what
dude.
you guys are doing. You're going out there. You're not only filming, but and doing the pre and post work, but you're also like the manager. Like
Yeah.
you're the guy who's
Right.
making sure you're getting all the shots and getting paid and getting X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And if you don't know what X, Y, and Z are going into it,
Yeah, human error is a real thing. So at least if you had the information in the beginning, if someone slipped up, at least you knew about it, and you could, like, in a way, step in and, I don't want to say save the day, but, you know, maybe avoid a particular problem. I don't know. So it's all about, like, for me, I feel like I was always the voice in Austin's ear, and I'd be like, what the hell is he doing? What are they talking about? They didn't say this in this email. Where's this coming from?
I feel like I saw this part of you at Level Exchange.
Oh my God, dude, that place drove me insane. Yep, it really
And-
did. I was the
and
squeaky
it's-
wheel the whole time. I was like, Austin,
Yeah,
we
but-
got to do this, man.
But I
we gotta say
recognize
that.
something.
Yeah.
I recognize that I wouldn't. That, you know, I am an easygoing guy, and I don't like to think I'm a pushover. I don't really think I am, but I think in some ways I'd be more of a pushover if it weren't for Hank, because he's that side of me that just like reminds me to hold other people accountable in my own weird ways, and I'm not perfect at it, but it's just like when something's askew, like you gotta at least know about it. You gotta break the ice. You gotta be that dude who's like, oh hey, yeah, I don't remember us talking about that. I'm sorry, that's gonna cost more. Like, no, you know what I mean? At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, or it's like, yeah, but
So we started
Whatever.
rolling
I'm-
out scope of work. So when anytime something else got added to it,
that's
we
true.
were like, this is out of scope.
out of scope.
Scope creep, right?
Yeah, scope creep. That was I love when you brought that. I was like, scope
I didn't
creep.
know what that meant.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
you
rich
taught me
fairy
that
word.
one.
Oh, that's
a rich
amazing,
fairy
and it
word.
makes so much sense.
It's
we
a
say out of
Richard-
scope, but scope creep is like, you're
It's a
about to go out
Richard
of scope.
special.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
creeping
he didn't
up on the
invent
scope.
it, but
No, yeah.
but yeah, no, it's so real. It's so real, and I feel like at first when I first met you guys at Level Exchange, you guys were very assertive and whatnot, and at first I was like, I don't know if I like these guys. They're a little needy or a little bit assertive, but then quickly I was just like, oh no. When I kind of figured out you guys were on my team and you were asserting for things that I
Also making
cared
zero
about.
money.
It's not about the money, man. It's about the bagels.
And the donuts. I really hope that this doesn't become like the theme of this podcast.
The theme of our relationship. Or?
Well, that's where it all started. So
It
I
is
really
true.
can't hate in that regard. But just all the hard feelings in that
Hey,
sense.
we've all been through a lot of stuff and whatever. So let me ask you another thing. I want to go back to your space, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely good to do that now.
Can we kind of paint a picture of this space? Like, what are you guys hoping to utilize the space for, and what does it look like? Is it big? So I know that it's in Pawtucket.
It's big, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
definitely
what's
big.
the goal? I mean, you guys mentioned renting it out, but
Yes,
I'm
because
sure you guys
Production
got the space.
is the goal.
Production is the goal.
Yeah.
And any specific types of production? Are we talking like basically a film set with turnkey, everything you need, lighting, blah blah blah? Like, if I were to rent the space, have you guys thought about like renting your gear out?
Definitely. I mean, we just have so much of it now that has definitely become like
There's a big market for renting.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because of COVID, but like
Of course.
when we first walked into this like space and we saw that one room, like what we're calling now like the production space, we're actually calling it the warehouse. But when we saw it, we knew, we were like, whoa, there is so much we could do. Not even just video, dude. Like, you could set up backdrops. Also, it's very
Yes.
industrial looking, where if you didn't want to use backdrops, it just looks
It looks
kind of
cool.
like it's a moody vibe. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of character, and it's different than the studios that I've been to or that I've seen, like, in my own, experience. So, like, I just know that there's something different and cool about it. Ultimately, we're going to work there, and we're going to have edit stations, and like we're going to operate our business out of this space. We've got a conference table and a kitchen, and there's ultimately like an office type setting. But this one room, man, when you walk in, too, because there's this like door with these gates that open. You just know that it's like it has so much potential.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hypothetically, or maybe not hypothetically, like, would you guys be open to something like, me and Clinton have had several clients, or me, Clinton, and Eric, and Railroad in general have several clients that want to do like live production stuff, but we obviously don't have the space here. This is tiny studio, big sound. But
Yeah.
I mean, Would you be open to like letting us rent the space out, bringing some mobile rigs and like doing live recordings and live tracking? I know you guys said it's probably a big echo chamber, but
Definitely got to treat it for sure.
Yeah, we'll treat it, and also I feel like in those situations you kind of want to capitalize on the fact that it's a big sounding room. You know, like make things sound big, things sound big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I mean, is that something that you'd be open to, like for anybody, like? Any engineer of any sort.
I think you're speaking our language right now. I think that's pretty much one of the first things we exactly thought of when we were coming into the space. The only thing at the moment is I think we would just need to work out with management, having that kind of loud production in there. Mm-hmm. But definitely the way I see the space is it's largely white, right? It's basically all white walled brick painted that way. And there's some areas where it's just kind of like gray flooring or blue, but it's really just white. And to me, that's like a blank slate. You could bring any kind of production in there, and even on its own, it retains this like elegant like dignity that it is just a clean white space. It's just depending on how you correct it and move your colors and exposure, whatever. But it's like it itself is just a blank slate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but yes,
I like
in
that.
terms of
That's
audio,
cool. That's cool.
bringing bands in there was one of the first things that came into my mind, and it's definitely a goal.
It's also highly controllable. There's no windows, so like we can create unique looks for whoever it might be.
That's
You know
true.
what I
That's
mean?
huge.
Which
There's
is super
no
exciting.
daylight that can come in there. It is 100% controlled lighting.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Really cool. So, it sounds to me, or I've always kind of seen you guys as being extremely diverse, a diverse business. You're talking social media, help with web stuff, help with marketing, branding, and then your obvious video content creation. Would you guys ever consider, or have you talked about like strategically niching down, like? Is it ideal in your minds to like maybe in the next 10 years be working sort of within a niche?
I think I don't know.
Or is the plan to stay
you may get
diverse?
two different answers. I don't know. Can I go?
Yeah.
I'll just try and keep it short. I think like the goal would be to not really like stray away from any sources of revenue that we feel we can emulate, like the kind of work that we, you know what I mean? The vibe. Like if we can be consistent in what we're providing video wise for a website, for photo, for content, anything, even if it comes down to script writing or managing a project, producing, whatever. Like I think that we are on our way to being in a place where you can apply us to different industries, different types of work, and we'll either know somebody, we'll be able to outsource, and I think
so you'd say the goal is sort of to stay diverse.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, Austin,
I don't think we want to stop.
It's both no. I was going to say no as well to exactly what he said. I just think that the way Austin and I work, we're creatives at the end of the day, and that there are projects that come up that we don't even know that we would enjoy or be good at, but then we did it, and then we learned that it's like, let's talk about level exchange, let's talk about the music thing. Not to say that like we didn't have an interest in music, like I said, like I stemmed from a nightclub scene like background when I first started freelancing in a sketchy way.
I also just think that like a lot of the projects we're doing at this point, if they're coming out the way we want to and they're the right projects, they are basically incorporating every skill of production there is under the sun, to the degree that the budget supports or to the degree that needs to happen to make that a good project. So it's like, you're filming a documentary, you want great audio. So there's that. But then it's like, where's this documentary living? You need a whole promotional and marketing package for this. And do you have a website? And this or that. So it's like, it might not be us creating the website, but we might be guiding the project. We might be, and this is hypothetical. It's just a doc, right? As an example. But anything. We can, like, I think we're moving towards like an artist management.
It's tough.
Like,
as we've progressed, we realize the things that are missing, and like because at the end of the day, we started just
missing
making,
from
it was
the
just
people
videos
that hire us.
Yeah, it was just videos at first, right? We were making videos, but at some point in the process, you start to become attached to the work, right? And in a sense, you have these relationships with clients. You want them to do well, and if you don't really see the work you're doing, putting in the results that you were expecting, you start to, psychoanalyze it and break it down and go, okay, well, what did we do wrong from a video approach? Okay. But then it starts to go into those little things like social media, outreach, and website, and where's it living? Like, who's the audience?
Yeah.
Like, you start to really figure out, oh, there's all these other elements that,
What's
like, you know,
the purpose of
exactly.
the video?
And then you
I
want to
don't-
learn about it, right? So, like,
Yes.
you said websites. I wouldn't even, it's funny, you say that we know websites, but we don't really. I've done enough of them now.
Well, you've got to design.
We
a
know
sort
good
of
content.
eye.
We know what
good
looks good
content.
to our eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. We just have a lot of examples of things we've done and worked with, or people we've worked with that have created this new, nuance of something that we need to know about, especially when it comes to video and all the other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just feel like, no, I don't think we should ever just become a niche, because at the end of the day, we're all about, like, getting you. We want to put people on. Like, everything that we do is about
You
to make
also
sure that person is on.
want to make sure
Yeah.
that your content is seen. You know what I mean? Nothing is worse than, I can speak for the audio side of things, nothing's worse than, like, sinking so much time and effort and passion into a great song and then later finding out that nobody heard it. Nobody heard it. And because the artist wasn't savvy enough to break through the noise or whatnot. And I can't speak to video, but I feel like the whole niching down thing is super popular in the studio world. Everyone's like, oh, you need to become the metal guy. You need to become the guy that all the metal bands come to,
See,
or
that's
the hip
crazy.
hop guy.
Because,
and I
like,
do
doesn't
think this
that
is crazy.
pigeonhole your abilities in general? Doesn't that force you into, like, not being able to do
That's
anything
not the
other
word
than
on the street. The word on the street is like that is the best way to grow and profit.
That's the most
but this is why I
economical way.
vibe with you
How?
guys.
All right, because here's what I'm going to say.
I don't believe
if you
that.
do want to niche something, oh, you want to be the metal guy. Well, that's when, in terms of business, I would create branches of your company where, we have, like, a department for that. Oh, like, we're everything. Oh, but, you want just metal? All right, we'll hit up my boy Clint. You know what I mean? He's your go-to. Or, like, some type of umbrella. You know what I mean? Something that's underneath the brand as a whole. But at the end of the day, like, it's maybe it's the niche that you're referring to.
Who knows?
Like,
We could be
I
wrong,
mean, it's,
but
it
we
sounds
could be.
crazy, but there's plenty of examples of that actually working. You know, the
In-
guy
in
who
our
decides he's gonna
portfolio,
be
too.
just the mastering guy. I'm just going to be the mastering guy.
that.
You know, that type of stuff. So, I mean, I know why people talk about it and suggest it, at least within my world. I don't know if it's as popular in your world. I also know that not everybody is interested in what I'm interested in and what you guys might be interested in as well, and that's world domination. Like, I don't want to be just a studio. I want to diversify my income streams, and not even from a monetary aspect, but I want to be diverse, and my 5-year plan looks sort of like, more along the lines of a record label. I want to be. I've been chewed up and spit out in the music industry. I want to share my experience with artists. I want to help them with all aspects of it. And I mean, your clients are similar to my clients, where they want a piece of content. They want a story told. They want people to see it. They want people to see it in a professional medium. They want people to take it seriously. And we are all 10 hours a day in the trenches with this type of stuff, and so we're going to lend a great bit of advice to some of our clients or artists. I mean, and which brings me to ask you guys, like, what is your 5-year plan, or where do you see yourselves? Even if it's a pipe dream, like, where is HAUS in, like, 5 years from now, or maybe even 20 years from now?
It's tough.
HAUS.
It's tough
I'll
to even
let
say.
Henry
dude.
take it
No,
first.
I just feel like it
Take it
changes
away,
all the
Hanky.
time. No. I feel like it changes all the time. You know what I mean? So it's tough. Like what we talked
that's
about.
frowned upon,
Sure, but like
What, your 5-year plan changing?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think I get it, because I feel like you should be adapting to what works. You know, like we talked about, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Thinking out of the box and trying different things, all within the spectrum of stuff that you enjoy or can see yourself passionately working on, but also knowing that, I can't die on the hill for this particular thing.
Yeah.
Like, I need to adapt. I think that's important too, but it is frowned upon when you get somebody like giving a pitch or talking about business who's just like, we're gonna figure it out on the way, or we're gonna change and adapt.
I feel you. I definitely feel you. I don't mean it like that. I guess I just meant, like, it never really changes, but I guess, like, the focus in a way does. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, I guess at the end of the day, we want to be like an agency. We want to be the go-to, like, anything visual. Like, we have an option or an avenue that you can seek that will get it done. You know what I mean? Either if we're not even the guys shooting it or editing it at the end of the day, you came to us with a specific vision in mind, and we might excel in that, and we're the guys to get it started. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just want a big-scale video production company. I feel like that's always been my dream. I've always wanted to work on, like, a huge, like, let's talk, like, Steer Films in Gnarly Bay if we're going to go to Rhode Island. You know what I mean? We want to be at that level. We want to be the top tier go-to guys. Oh, you want a video or something in that nature creatively? Oh, you should hit up Austin and Henry with HAUS. Like, they can get you in the right direction. You know,
Yeah.
even if it's just a consultation and telling someone what they need to know to get what they want, it could start there. But then we can go into the part of like the whole taking over the world thing and what I said to you last night, Kyle, like where, you know, I have this vision of because
Was
of
that last night? Night
2
before?
nights ago. Regardless, we're here a lot now. But no,
We're here.
We want to create like this audiovisual empire too. We really
Yes.
love developing artists and working with them and creating visuals with them. But now I feel like we get so attached to the work that we want to be there every step of the way with how it gets released. Where is it driving people to? And also, like, you know, it would be great if we could at some point record their music too. Like, it's all done in house.
Dude.
Maybe we work with you. We create live streams and all this
I can't
content.
help but
you know,
see that like our visions are actually quite similar,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think it'd be crazy if we don't find a way to team up on more stuff or capitalize or help each other out. I mean, I did mention it the other night, and Hank, after a couple of beers, was just like, "Listen, bro, we're working with Tommy Hilfiger. I don't know if we have time for you, man."
No,
Like,
I didn't say that.
We do have some interesting opportunities coming through the door, but I don't think that's going to take us away from you, my friend.
I hate you.
we drank too much. And that was,
yeah,
that was a funny
man.
moment, but it was sort of celebratory because I feel like we had I know that I was really pleased with your session.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that shit's fire, and we got to plug that. Like, Austin here has some solo music
Jesus.
coming out, and
I was still trying to talk about the 5-year plan here, man.
I know, but maybe that is your 5-year plan. Maybe you're gonna blow up, and Hank's gonna be like, "Can I come take photos of you?"
Dude, I don't
That's
think
already
so.
happening.
No, I'm not. I'm just joking. But I got lots of love for Austin. He's got great music, and we're recording it here, so people need to check it out. But back on the 5-year plan thing, you guys are saying
Can confirm Kyle's space. Oh, yeah. Don't even edit this out. I can't even do a good fucking testimonial for you.
well,
Hey guys, check out Railroad Park recording.
He's really good at doing guitar and mixing in the
And the mastering, Eric Kirkland's a cool guy. He kind of
West Virginia
scares me.
tobacco.
Yeah,
He's got my favorite. Eric actually makes my favorite flavor of Juul. He was the guy. He was out there. He was.
I don't know, man. I guess to sum it up, bro, like at the end of the day, like our 5-year plan is to become like an audiovisual empire. We
Hell
just
yeah.
want to be the best at what we do. We want to provide like superior quality content to anybody that needs it. And I know it sounds like ridiculous, but you know, that
kind of an interesting question, but like, would you guys have any, just for conversation's sake, like, what advice might you give me, like Railroad? Like, is there a direction that, like, I mean, you're very vocal and you're an ideas kind of guy, like, being sort of on the sidelines of and watching Railroad grow and doing our thing. I mean, is there any advice that you'd have for me?
nothing that I haven't already said, but get your website finished, buddy. It really does come down to that. Like, you know, your
We need
business
a hub.
you have a big word of mouth following, I feel like, and which is great. It's actually one of the most crucial things in like these type of industries, right?
Yeah.
But imagine if you found people that wanted to work with you just solely based off the fact that they searched music production or recording, Massachusetts, whatever. Someone that just found you through, you know, the internet without anyone talking about you.
Yes.
That is, in my opinion, I feel like where you guys could only keep leveling up.
And we do get that too, like off of social media, but I totally get that. I mean, I think you're 100% right, because I feel like a website to me represents a lot of untapped income streams. We do, but we should be sort of offering mixing and mastering to the World Wide Web, not just the people who are hearing about us or the people who are stumbling upon our Instagram. And like so many other things, you know, having a menu up there and having people be able to sort of just like see all the services that we do versus having to come here or having to DM us or having to, you know, stuff like that. So I think that's a great piece of advice, and I couldn't agree with you more, and that's why I'm really hoping that, like, if I keep giving you beer, you're going to help me out with my web design.
Definitely, bro. But no, but even the social media thing too. I mean, at the end of the day, Austin will pitch. You need a call to action. So like, social media is good too, but like, you got to drive someone somewhere, right?
Yep.
So
It's true.
It also comes with like, so after your website's done, maybe taking some of your social media stuff, right, and repurposing it and putting some paid spend behind it and start running some ads, man, you know, that drive people to the website, drive people to book you guys. Like, I just feel like just a little bit of self promotion can go a
Yep.
long way. And it's definitely proved that to us. And, you know, we're just going to kind of see where it goes from there. But I definitely think that would help you guys. But everything else you're doing, keep doing it, you know?
Thanks.
I'm just talking about the marketing side of things. What you guys do here is you create an unbelievable product, so I can't really speak on that. But in terms of just, you know, business growth and strategy, I definitely think that website and just having a digital presence is huge. So
Awesome. Well, I thank you
Yeah.
for that. Well, listen,
Yeah.
guys, I really appreciate you guys coming here, sweating it out. I think a nice cold beer is in order.
Oh, and a piss in the woods.
I don't know what you guys are. I mean, you guys might not be into this, but I don't know if you're trying to go to the beach real quick, like maybe a little dipperuno. I could give you some shorts. I live down the street, man, but like,
I am
Yeah, why
sweating,
not?
man.
I
I'm
mean,
not going to say no to that right now.
poor Hank is like about to slip out of his seat.
Sliding out.
It's funny. When I was here the other day, I was just like, I'm the sweatiest guy in town. And I always will be.
Yeah.
And don't you forget it.
It was awesome. Do you guys want to, before we leave, you want to plug anything? You got a website, right? House.com?
No,
I
House
meant to do
PVD.
this earlier.
HAUS, everybody. It's not house like a house. It's German spelling. So it's
like HAUS?
HAUS. Yes, as Kyle likes to say, HAUS. HAUSPVD.com. You can follow us on Instagram. It's probably preferred. It's House PVD.
Definitely check these guys out. They've got incredible content, great Instagram page, and honestly, if you're looking to pay somebody to do something really amazing and you want to pay them well and treat them really good and just shut up and listen to them, these are the guys. These are the
Thank you,
guys. Yeah, but check them out. All
We
right.
appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys later.
Dude, I was gonna say, you could pay me $10 an hour. Come down and shoot
you
your
could
daughters.
pay me an
your daughters-
exposure. Wait, can you pay me an
Wait,
exposure?
let me second plug here. I'll come down. I'll shoot your daughter's dance recital for $10 an hour.
That is
So sketchy.
That is definitely going
Oh my God, it's so fucking hot.
I have to pee.
Turn the AC on.